Hello, Drive Tubers, and welcome back to Let's Play Stardrive 2 with me, BlueAnkylo. We're still streaming, we're still having a good time. So, last episode we sort of scouted out our immediate territory and discovered that mostly we just had gas giants and wormholes, unfortunately. Not really the best starting. But we did find at least one special resource on a averagely okay planet. It's nothing special. But the resource is good. And you can see we now have one lambda seed. We can also trade this around if we want, but for now, this is fine. We also met the Alloc Codrazine conglomerate slave empire and traded them trade rights, so we're making a little bit more money. It was a horrible deal. They're probably making way more money than I am, but that's only if they were smart enough to build some freighters. Next up, we're going to build some more freighters so we can ship food and also explore the wormhole. Good luck, brave pull-up explorer. Bam! He's in the middle of nowhere. Alright. We don't actually have enough fuel to really explore more than one or two systems here. Surprise, surprise, it's another horrible planet. It's also very likely to be close to another enemy, or AI. Well, I always call them enemy. Another alien species. I think it's worth spending like one turn to see if I can get... The yellow is the radius of your sensors. To see what's around the yellow star. Because I could pump out a colony ship and get over here pretty quick. Seeing as it's basically connected to my homeworld. But I don't really want to colonize that way. I'd rather head this direction and then end up fighting with the Codrazine over the core later on. But that's just my overall plan. What's the Drakibi? How did we get scouting info for there? I don't know exactly how we know about this, but that would be really nice too. Technically, it's within their zone, so they probably would get mad if I tried to colonize that. Nanocache is possibly the best strategic resource. +1 production worker per nanocache. This one would be worth 2, so we get +2 per worker, as well as the resource exploitation bonus, which isn't all that good, but it could help if I want to spend money to build stuff quickly. I'm tempted to just rush it, but I don't really want to be fighting these guys in the first few turns. Like, I can't really design a good ship that I like until we get approximately mass drivers and... Where is it? Shield 1. So basically 3 levels of energy. We need mass drivers and shield 1. Then I can make some nice ships and we're fine. Then I can probably crush everything in the universe. Unless they are surprisingly powerful this try. So yeah, let's have a quick look at this star and then we'll head back to the wormhole home. Because once you run out of fuel, in case I didn't mention it, your ship will just automatically go into like cryogenic sleep and slowly return home. Very, very slowly, and not through a wormhole. So, yeah, that's about that. We will have our freighter fleet done next turn. I wonder if I can shave off some research here. No. We need everybody to get it done in the next turn, so that's what we do. That is a deadly crystal fleet. So we're not actually going to explore that star. Would have been nice to know if we could find something good there. There may be a good planet, but we're not getting past this thing, trust me. Not for a fairly long time, to be honest. Okay, we now have spare freighters, which means that we can take this guy and stop just feeding himself and start actually working on the mine. Because this is a tundra, this will never be a farming city, so we're always going to have to export food here, basically. We'll have to build lots of freighters. Because we have a very low basic food. I probably won't bother building the soil enrichment anytime soon because it's just not very good to start with. I also forgot to double check home. I could have, yeah. I forgot that we grew, and because of the lambda seeds, we're actually producing more food than we used to be. So, whatever. Anyway, let's get that research lab done. I'm not sure how or where excess research goes. Like, I think what happens is if we put more than 11 points into it, which is right now exactly what we can research, I think if you could put 12, the next spare point would just head towards the next tech. And then once you get around to researching it, you have to start with 1 invested, basically. I think. Alright. We have a net positive 1 food, which results in a little bit of money. Switch between our places. So basically 1 food is being shipped to Arantar, and we only use half of it. And I think it's just rounding up. So it says we have 1 spare. I think. Alright, home we go. Bloop. Meet Le Tigre, the Enforcer. He is a warrior, but he also provides pretty good buffs to the system he's in. Nothing outrageous. They go up to like 30 or 50% with the really good guys. But, you know, plus 10 farming, research, and production is good. He can also fight if you get invaded. The thing is, we'd have to pay quite a bit of money and upkeep for the early game. I don't even have it. Also, we researched something. We have 30 turns of him being available. Alright, research lab. We're going to want to get that going pretty quick. Pretty much instantly, I think. We get that built, and then even while we're building something, we'll still be researching a little bit. 225, yeah. Maybe this is not as cheap as I was thinking. I'm not sure which one. Maybe the research lab and the Xeno University are the same hammers. But I do know, like, the Xeno Mine and the Rover Bay are different. So this can take 9 turns. Ouch. That's not quick. It's not quick at all. But I want to get that done first before we go back to researching, because even though it's mostly flat, the +1 per researcher means we go up to... We actually... Oh, we're unhappy. That's why we're losing out a bit. Yeah. We might have to focus on researching some happy-making stuff soon. Alright, the Explorer is back. I'm going to give him 1 turn to refuel, basically. And then we'll probably go through the other wormhole, see where that goes, and then we'll start exploring down here. Also, next up, soil enrichment, for sure. I could build an aeroponic farm on... I will want to build aeroponic farms on our colonies that are not farmy, but look at the upkeep. This has a 2 upkeep just for 3 food, whereas this is just +1 per worker. So on our homeworld right now, this would be +3 food with 0 upkeep for now, and then +4 or 5 if we put more workers on it. So that's what I want. Seeing as we do have the tech, we could try to trade, although I don't think we have enough tolerance ourselves. You can see the caps have gone up a little, but even to trade something like the mine would take... So we need to wait like 16 turns to even try this. The problem will be, even though it's a fair trade, he won't do it because he's not making more. So we'll probably have to put in 2 techs to get his 1, which requires a lot of tolerance. You can actually do the deal when you're over tolerance, but every point above the cap, so this is 40 above, would result in a negative on all of your colony's happiness. So we would get -40 approval for that. So not really a good idea unless you're... Well, actually, if you're the robots, it's fine. But unless you're a robot, it's probably not a good plan. Alright, 1 turn by the homeworld, refueled. You can actually see the little food freighter going back and forth, which is nice, because you don't have to manually control them, but they can still be shot down by pirates. I assume the Coldrazine will probably colonize this before long. We would have to rush to get that. Get that research lab done. Should keep track of when we grow and... Oh, that's great. Well, the red crystals are no friends of ours. The thing is, there's not much I can do about it just now. If they attack my homeworld, the starbase that we come with will destroy them. We're not going to have a starbase up here for a fair while, though. How many turns off of growth? 10 turns. Research lab will be done first. And boom, we meet the humans. Cool. Hello, pipe smoke. So these guys, similarly greedy as the Coldrazine were. Hard negotiator because we're on hard. Trusting is nice, gives us a little bit of room on their side. And hoarders means they don't like trading their money, but they like trading our money, basically. So, they don't have any techs we don't have yet. We could get another trade treaty, though. We could try. What if I traded them a large for a small? Maybe a few bucks. They probably won't give me much. We could get 43 space bucks. That uses all of our tolerance and half of theirs. I don't think... If I went for medium, that would require 4 freighters. But I would have to invest something extra to get it. And I don't have the tolerance for that. If I wanted medium. No, if I'm giving them medium. Right, I'd have to give them, like, large or something. And that will require more tolerance than I have. If I had a really valuable tech, I could trade for it. But that's not worth much. Trade and small will be fine. We'll have to create some more freighters quick. And I will take what little money I can get from them. Yeah, it's about as good as we're going to get. He's on the opposite side of the map, so we're unlikely to be in direct conflict for a fairly long time. Even though we have a wormhole directly to his lands. Probably Earth is right there. This is probably Sol and Earth right in there. Head home. So I guess we should prioritize a couple more freighters then. We may be making more money. I wonder, seeing as we're going to have a lot of money coming in, I wonder if it's worth hiring this guy. You know, 10% isn't a lot, but it'll add up. That's extra hammers, extra research ticks, extra food. Yeah, why not? I don't think he's the best hero by any means, but he's what we got. And I think we're going to have enough money to afford him for a long, long time. Good for him. So, not that 10% is going to make a huge difference early on, but it does kind of counteract some of the unhappiness. Yeah, we'll see. Alright, Scout is back. Now, the big question is, can we actually explore down here, or do we get crushed by crystals and space squids? That is always the big question. Nope, we need everybody to make that freighter in one turn. Okay. Now we need the research lab. Yeah, that's fine. And we are now trading with 4 ships, making a little bit more trade money. Actually, one of the advanced strats, although I'm not going to get into it too much, is if you produce trade goods while you have trade treaties on, you get a significant boost for every hammer that goes in. Like, normally trade goods doesn't make you very much money. 10 production turns into 1 credit per turn. But if you have trade treaties, each 8 production will give you 1 more BC per 2 trade routes. So we have 2 small trade routes. I think that means it's 6 production turns into 1 credit, basically. I think. It's pretty good anyway. Works best if you've got lots of people to trade with. I will explore these anomalies shortly. I just want to find systems to colonize first. That's not going to work. Try to run away. If I could click on my planet here. There we go. So what do we find? We found some more crystals. This is at least a smaller fleet. I can probably shoot this down without too much work. Obviously, I don't have any actual fighting ships at the moment, but I think even with just your starter tech, you could destroy that. I just have to invest the hammers into it, which we'll get to. Alright, research lab. Research me. Even just if we did nothing, we would research the next tech. But this should speed it up significantly, yeah. Now we're getting pretty good income. Aren't you supposed to be giving me, like, a bonus? Where's my bonus, dude? He comes with... Actually, that's a really nice upgrade. Smart Link is a pretty high level tech, and that makes his weapons do a lot more damage than normal. Can I actually give him something else? Like shield? Yeah, you can give him a spare weapon, sure. He also has 6 speed rather than 5 by default, so it's a pretty good unit, honestly. In ground combat, this guy would be pretty cool. If you gave him like heavy armor, he'd be almost unstoppable. But I thought for sure system-wide farming activities. He is a system administrator. Yeah. Oh. Right. Sorry. He is here, but he's not assigned. Right, I did that wrong. Now he's assigned. Now we'll be getting plus 10% to all of our stuff. Sorry, I should have done that a couple turns ago. I forgot he didn't automatically assign. He just was here. He just wasn't leading the colony. Good. And it does apply to all planets in that system, which means colonizing Palmar 3 is now slightly more useful than it would have been before. That is just a notification that this guy is following our scout, who I'm going to not lead directly back to the homeworld. I just want to get into our space, and then he'll probably stop following us once we're out of range of his planet. So I just don't want to lead him to our homeworld by accident and have him destroy a freighter. One of the things we could do is we currently have a spare freighter, so we could take one of the workers from our homeworld and move it to this world. I'm not going to do that, but you could. It's something we may do later on. But, I mean, it's going to take an awfully long time to build this, unless we speed it up by paying cash, or move another worker over, basically. But, remember, we only really started this colony to get the Lemba seeds, so it's not a big deal. Alright, they stopped following us already. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get to this planet without aggroing those guys. And if it was good, we could colonize it. Let's give it a try. Maybe aim a little bit on the right side just to stay away from their zone. Alright, one more turn for soil enrichment. And then we're going to want to build that immediately. I'm a pretty big fan of having lots of money, so a little bit of trade goods for a turn. I don't care about overflow research right now. I'd rather just make a few extra bucks early on so we've got it for quick buys. Alright. So we want to build that as quickly as possible. And then we're going to start researching some tech and for some weapons, and we're going to start actually building some fighter ships. I love how much food we're getting, even with that minus 0.5. We don't need hardly anybody working the farms. So much production. And then with a large population size, other than the happiness problem, it's going to work out really well. So with that in mind, pretty sure, first things first, we want to get shields and guns. So of the first 3 techs here, I think plasma cannons are garbage. These things, assuming what you're fighting has no shields, which is a big assumption eventually. Early on it'll be fine, but it'll be outclassed as soon as anything has a shield. It just does, it's like a dot, a damage over time. And it's kind of dumb. I don't think they do enough damage for the amount of cost. Defensive flares are kind of like, sort of like missile jammers, but they're not very good. Plasma fuel cells at least gives you a passive buff to your fuel capacity. I'm going to use this a lot more. This is just going to be a regularly okay upgrade versus a couple pretty minor. There's far better missile jamming technology later on if you want it. Even the laser point defense weapons you start with are fine. Probably better than that, honestly. And then plasma cannons, I wouldn't worry about rushing to that. Maybe I'm wrong, but they don't seem that good to me. I forgot to start the timer. I don't know how long we've been recording. Probably not that long. Okay, this guy wants to try to trade. This generally happens once the AI knows that you have enough tolerance to allow a trade. They'll try to pull this off. The problem is, I don't want to give it to him. I want to trade that for something like that. But he won't go for it if it's even. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pull this off. And the problem is if we don't trade with him, we actually get a negative approval penalty. Like, it will say refuse to trade minus 10% or something, which will reduce our tolerance even more. The problem is he didn't check if there was a possible trade. He asked me, would you trade me Xenomine for something? I would, but the cheapest tech he's got, I don't think we can actually get. Because, well, 3 points over the tolerance would be acceptable. How much money would he need? He would need all of it. So we could pay 146 and trade a tech for a trek. Tech for a tech. It is a good tech. Don't get me wrong, that's a solid tech. Other options, instead of giving him the Xenomine, we could... No, I'm not giving him that. We could offer him larger trade rights. Actually, we wouldn't have the tolerance for that either. Or we could just strictly sell him the Xenomine and worry about getting this later. Assuming we'll want to stay friends. We could take 150 of his bucks. What would I do with that? Probably nothing, so it's not a big deal. I think it's better to get the tech even if it costs us a few days of disapproval and most of our treasury. I hate it when the AI offers... They're basically demanding a trade without us being able to actually make a trade, other than just for credits or something. But I feel a tech for a tech is pretty fair, but because we're on hard and he's greedy, it's very, very difficult. 2.6 penalty. It'll go down by 1 every turn, so it's not a big deal. And it gives us something else to build. Alright, so if you want to look at the math, it says minus 2.6. It should just round it, honestly, but it doesn't. That will go down in 3 turns to nothing, so nothing to worry about. Also, we did manage to scout down here. Noxium gives you tactical combat speed for space combat, and eventually missile damage if we can get 2, which is okay. I'm not a huge fan of missile weapons. Diamond Rain is just a positive planetary buff, basically. I would rather colonize Pearl 2 than colonize Le Power 4, or sorry, Le Power 3. They're basically the same. Abundant, huge, radiated. Abundant, huge, radiated, heavy G. Were they both heavy G? Wow, they're identical, except this comes with a resource. Oh, it's haunted, right. Makes them a little bit less happy to live there because there's ghosts. But other than that, you do get the resource. We'll probably we'll definitely colonize both of them. It's not a huge rush. I'm going to try to sneak around and go there. There's not a lot left for my scout to do, so I'll go try to scout out 1 or 2 more planets if I can. We'll build a colony ship eventually. It's not going to be a huge rush. I want to get maybe a couple combat vessels first. Maybe. I'm not even sure about that, to be honest. Alright, who's the next alien species? Our transmitter is easily the most powerful one in the galaxy. So who are these robots? That is a good question too, you know. Alright, the Volfar. These guys are dumb. Like, literally, they have the dumb trait. Genocidal space wolf bat things. What do they want? They don't suffer interviews with foolish robots. I don't know why you would try to devour a metal robot, to be honest. It's pretty clearly made of metal and plastic. Wisdom from the mouth of wolves. Those guys will probably just declare war on you if you're their neighbor. They're not very friendly. They're not very good at tech either, though, so they just get left behind. Soil enrichment almost completed. We will then start focusing on tech as soon as that's done. Might as well get that 1 more point into tech. Yeah, because I built the university, right? No, build the university first. Yeah. Overall, that will save us time on research. It won't get us plasma fuel cells quicker, but it'll probably get us shields 1 quicker, which is what I really want. Well, it's probably going to show up and destroy our trade fleet, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it. It's only 2 ships. Look at this. We can get by with 2 farmers now. Oh, man. I like this photosynthesis perk. This is really nice. 12 population total. 2 workers is enough. That's... What are they making each? They're making... I keep right-clicking by accident. They're currently producing 3.5 per worker. Each person takes half of a unit of food. Isn't that amazing? And you do make money from excess food, so it's actually really nice. You know, if I want more cash, I can do that too. I don't know, should I try to make a quick ship to take those guys out? What do they have by default? There are thickets. These things have rockets that are not great. They're just little rockets that do a little bit of damage. There are laser cannons, which are basically just point defense. They shoot down missiles. They do a tiny bit of damage. And a bunch of reactors, power capacitors so the lasers can fire, and some ordnance storage for the missiles. These things are kind of garbage. On a ship this small, it's pretty hard to design anything that will do anything. So not a strategy, really. The frigate class, I usually find, is not good enough. Now, this would actually make a pretty good missile boat, just due to the 3 high vertical slots. There's lots of 3 highs you could put in there. A rocket is this thing, and these guys have a long range, slow projectile speed, but they do a ton of damage. Depends on what you're fighting at, but this is probably one of the highest DPS early game weapons you'll have. Assuming you have enough time to fire them. Their default ships have armor on them, which keeps them safe. For the front section, the shots come in from the front mostly, so that's why you would see it on that angle. From the sides, it comes in from the sides. Imagine someone was shooting at the ship. Where would they hit the ship first? That is where the armor should go. Even around the engines. Now, the medium-sized basic engine could still take a shot, but hopefully with a little bit of an angle, it would hit the armor first, is the idea. We also have a larger generator and a basic command, which makes these CP neutral. So you could build these... Basically, corvettes are 0 command point cost up to, I think, the number of colonies you have. There's a formula. We have 7 free corvettes right now. That will rise as we get more colonies and star bases. So corvettes are usually free unless you have a ton of them. Frigates will cost 1 unless you build a cockpit into them, and then they will cost 0. And a cruiser will cost 2 unless you put a bridge into it, which reduces it to 1. Of course, you're trading, you know, module space for less command points, but having twice as many ships, twice as many cruiser ships, is probably worth it. Now, I would generally recommend not focusing on frigates too much from what I know about ship design so far. The cruisers are generally better in every way. They will cost more to build, but they are much more efficient. You can put more shields or armor or whatever it is you want on them. And for 1 command point, not a problem. So, basically, I'm just trying to decide if I want to use one of their default ships or not. These guys, lots of rockets, lots of point defense for close range, a little bit of rear armor for some reason. Usually a rocket ship does not focus on ship speed or turning very much, because they just hold still and shoot long-range rockets. This is like a defensive rocket launcher. They've got a small laser cannon in the front, or medium I guess technically. There are actually large ones that are 3x3. For instance, 3x3. I haven't really gone over ship design with you guys yet, so maybe I'll just build a couple thicket pickets and see if they can kill them. They're fairly cheap in hammers. This thing's cheaper, but yeah, you know, the armor. Sure, I'll build a couple fly traps. I'm not a huge fan of armor usually, but we don't have shields yet. And we also can't even build this thing until we get cruise missiles and disruptors. Disruptors are really good, though. Want to see a Corvette. Corvettes, I mean, they're just... they don't do anything. This will be shot... it will do almost no damage and get shot down. The only benefit is it's cheap. I will try to build a couple of these quick. Let's see how much production time that would take on our planet. We currently make 37 hammers, so we actually can make the Corvettes in a single turn. Oh, cruisers. Tier 3 is cruisers, Epic Face. Those take a lot more time to design, and I don't want to do that at this exact second. And I also want to have shields and mass drivers. Then I will design you a fancy cruiser, for sure. Alright, so it would take 3 turns. I mean, I could pump out a few thickets, the little baby thickets. They'd probably just die. I don't know, what am I fighting against? Can I actually see... You can't see the modules on these things. Usually you can right-click on a ship and it will show you what it's got. But because these are aliens, they don't have that. I think they have little shields and ion beams or something. But... I don't know. I guess I'll just make a small thicket fleet. It's kind of slowing my progress down here. I don't like it. We'll make 3 and see if... We'll make 4. And see if they have any chance. It'll take 4 turns, give or take. I hate being slowed down in my research, but I guess it's a good strategy. Oh, I forgot. Just sitting there wasting fuel down there. It's still not even going to make it in time. Oh, that's not nice. So we've produced enough that our people aren't actually... We're getting a negative 0.5 for polluted atmosphere because we're too industry heavy. It's very sad. They says they're starving, but I guess we better move on over. Now we're making extra. Oh, that's disappointing. It's 2. We're not going to be there anywhere nearly in time. They can't, like, invade, but they can blockade and blow up freighters, which will eventually cause them to starve, which would be really bad, or really annoying. Yeah, there goes 1 freighter. We had a spare, though, so I guess that's okay for now. Alright, we've got 4 thickets. I have no idea if these guys will actually win or not, but we'll give it a try. And then I want to go back to research. If they lose, I don't know. I'm going to be upset. How long do these guys have? We're currently shrinking, but we've got a fair bit of, like, stockpiled food. Can you get dual mass drivers? If you had a lot of cash and you found the correct anomaly, yes. Totally could. And you would still have to research it on the special project. Dual mass drivers, I'm also... They have more DPS, but a lot less range. And the best thing about mass drivers is the crazy range, in my opinion. You guys want to trade. Do you really want to trade? Again, the problem with this AI, must trade now. I would like to trade both of these, but I'm going to have to go over the tolerance limit and pay cash to do it. I hate the fact that as soon as your tolerance cap is within the threshold, they force you into a trade, even though you can't actually get anything, other than I could get some credits off of him. A few. Like, barely even worth it. Which one's more important? +3 with an expensive... The rover bay is pretty good. So how would I make this work? How far over would we go? That would be 9 approval down the drain. -1 per turn. I don't have enough money to just buy this straight up. Not even close. We have to either give him a tech, and all of my techs are worth the same. 2 techs is way more expensive than the tech and money. So, really the choice is get a little bit of money for a tech, or go over the tolerance limit and lose some money, but at least we get a tech back. And really, we do want these techs. Like, it's really nice to get them. It's worth $145 to get one tech, even though we're losing one in the process. But, you know, 9 turns of a little bit of less happy people, it's okay. I'd rather keep the deals going with this guy so he's happy. Also, by going over the tolerance limit, it's longer before he can bug us for another one of these stupid trades. Because they'll keep ticking down by 1 per turn, and we won't have enough room for it for a little bit longer. So, that's what we get. And that's fine. If you just refuse to trade with him, the tolerance will go down and it will be harder to trade techs afterwards. Also, hello, Theta. So we'll want to build that. Actually, strictly speaking, that's a better starter building than the Xenomine. Although the Xenomine is halfway done, but oops, wrong one. The automated rover bay is cheap to build, and the fly flat is better when you only have 1 population. Another gas giant. We've got lots of resources over here, though. Enough helium to totally max out and get the beam damage, which is fun. Ultra-rich asteroids. We haven't really talked about asteroids much, but they're an interesting colonizing option. Because we're subterranean, we actually get 3 instead of 1 by base, which is really good. I completely forgot about that. It might have been worth just colonizing this power belt first, actually. It's only abundant. We still have to ship in food, but it might be worth it. I'm not sure. If it's an ultra-rich, then it's definitely worth it. Plus, we get a resource. Trilithium is also nice. It's a small speed upgrade. We currently move at 25 units per turn. This would get us up to 28. So, what's that? A little bit over 10% faster speed by default. But it's a pretty bad plan otherwise. There's not much left to do with the Explorer, so sure. We'll go through the wormhole, and then we'll almost definitely be stuck slow traveling home. So, how bad is the happiness? The people are angry, but they're already kind of angry anyway, so it's fine. I should have had this before the trade goods. That was kind of an accident. Get the university done, down to research, nail out some techs, get the ships improved. Try to recover this colony before the space crystals starve it to death, basically. Oh good, remnants. This is insta-death as well. Stronger than pirates. So, either we make it through the wormhole immediately or we're dead, basically. Well, actually, you can retreat and slowly escape, but it's another gas giant system. Amazing. Alright. 3 turns to the university. We haven't starved to death yet. It's actually shrinking very slowly, but it's going to be difficult. I don't know if these guys can win this fight. It'll be your first view of space combat if you haven't seen this before, but... Also, we made it through the wormhole? Okay, that's good. So now, with 148, all I want to do is try to get out of range of the crystals so that when we go on slow-mo, we can get back home. Even if we don't want to explore much more with this thing, we can refit it to be another frigate, a fighter frigate type, for cheaper than to build a fighter frigate from scratch. Alright, let's do this. We could auto battle, but that's no fun. Let's see what happens here. I wouldn't get your hopes up, really, though. So we've got deployment zone, you know, the drill, pretty standard combat type stuff. That's our sort of hull HP. We've got ammunition, power, some commands like retreat, stop doing whatever you're doing. This is like AI combat orders. Do you face the front or broadside, or do you always move or hold position? For long range weapons like the Gauss, you would want hold forward and hold position. For these kinds of things, I guess forward but keep moving, sort of dive bomb attacks or something. If you hold tab, you can double check what they've got equipped. It's nothing special. Let's do this. Oh, begin, of course. Alright, Wish me luck. Also, see you later, deploy. I don't hold out a whole lot of hopes here. You can see the damage. The missiles are doing some good damage. These things will turn yellow and red once we're actually doing damage. We already lost one ship to their beams. Doesn't really look like we're doing enough damage to be significant. They can kill us in 2 volleys of beams, basically. This guy is destroyed. Can't do anything, really. I don't think we're even going to destroy one ship. It's not even really close. These little things are useless. It was a waste of 4 turns of production. I should have known. Not even worth the production that went into it. If these guys had at least turned yellow or red, I would think we made some damage, but they did nothing. We dealt overall 4,000 damage, but it did nothing, and we lost all our ships, so... Ah, well. It was worth a shot, sort of, but... That's why we don't really build Corvettes. There's not much I can do to make those any good. Tech! I actually finished the tech before I finished the university. That's fun. Alright, well we need to get these mass drivers yesterday. That will deal with those guys just fine. Get that university finished and start teching up. It won't take 15 turns. We might lose this colony and have to build another colony ship, to be honest. I mean, it's going to take a while to starve to death. Maybe those guys will get bored and leave, but there's not much else I can do at the moment. Other than spend a bunch of turns building another junky ship. Imperial University, food shortage. Still, we got a long time to go. I will try to rush the tech I need as quickly as I can. 51 per turn is pretty good. We have 2 techs to go, basically. This guy, I don't know if he's going to make it around this. But you'll see what happens when you run out of fuel. Alright, mass drivers, really good. Now all we need is some shields. Now, some of these other things are good. If you're using beam weapons, high energy focus is amazing. If you're using energy cannons, like the laser cannons or the plasma cannons or a few other things, that's really good. Just a flat plus 50% damage. The thing is, shields are... That's the best. Still in range of those, wow. I want to make ships that have shields and mass cannons, or mass drivers, basically. Okay, so now that it ran out of fuel, it will return to the nearest planet or fuel depot at half speed, but it'll still get there, hopefully. Not a very strong start, I have to admit. We didn't find a lot of good planets right away. And then getting that crystal on the colony was really disappointing. We can spend $100 for, I believe, +5 research per turn flat. I don't see why not. That built us the Wormhole Institute. 0 upkeep, 5 research per turn. I don't see... It's about as good as the... It's almost as good as the research lab. Instead of +1 research per scientist and a -1 upkeep. Just a flat +5. It's pretty good, right? We will have our shields next turn, and then we get to design a ship. Oh. I'm going to try to escape this. It should be fine, unless they're really speedy. The usual escape strategy is put your guy in the corner, hit R, and hope he escapes in 25 seconds before they blow him up. So these are blue crystals rather than red. I have no idea how much different they are. They both seem to do about the same thing, but like they both have some sort of beam weapon, I think. Looks like we managed to escape without any problems. They may continue attacking this guy, unfortunately, but we'll see. They might leave him alone, I don't know. He does seem to get a speed boost when you retreat from battle. Okay, so I'm going to end the episode here because next episode we're going to design ourselves a ship and then we're going to build it as quickly as we can. Or a couple of them. one of the things I guess we could do right now is research. I think we need to get either the bank or the happy meter. We're actually doing pretty good on money right now because of our trading. So the bank, you know, it would help, but it's not the win-all, end-all, the be-all, end-all. I think even plus 7% happiness might be enough to boost us up into the next bracket, so we get less less unhappiness penalties. And we're going to have large planets, so we're going to want the VR for sure. The only reason I would change that decision is if it turns out these guys had one of the alternate techs. These guys have the cloning center, for instance, and defensive flares. These guys have fighter bay and aeroponic farm, so they don't have either of what I'm looking for, the bank or the VR net. So I'll just pick whatever I want, which is, well, we can pick one, and you can, I didn't mention this before, but once you've started researching it, you can still change it to whatever you want until the day it finishes. The day it finishes, you're locked in, but even when there's like one research left, you could switch if you wanted. It's just, you're researching this branch, and then at the last day you can say what you want. Doesn't, maybe not perfectly fair, but that's the rule. Also, I forgot to mention, while we're talking about Cordrazine, we're out of trade contract. Now, they've got lots of tolerance, but I'm having a hard time. I don't know how I'm going to get another trade treaty, honestly. That's what I want, but I can't really offer them much. I would have to pay them like 450, which is not worth it. The diplomacy is not exactly my favorite. It's got some cool stuff, but it's a little bit annoying sometimes. Anyway, that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and have a great day.